Hey everybody, it's Mark Pereira. I want to come together and talk to everybody about some stuff that we've had going on, some things that we've been doing, some things we got involved in. It's been a pretty exciting time. We've been really getting a lot of stuff done. We're about to rehash our website, which is pretty exciting. Ivan Runer books are doing great. People are really starting to recognize them. We're starting to get involved with other groups that are, taking recognition of it. There's a lot of people noticing the validity of the ceremonies that we have put together, the research involved in this, so much work, so many things just finally piecing together. So it's been really exciting. And one of the big things that we were involved in recently was the Folkish Summer Hallowing that was in Pennsylvania a couple weeks ago. It was one of the best events I've ever been to. It was really, really incredible. I mean, there was a lot of good people there, and there was a lot of um, efficiency, I would say, involved in this gathering. And that's what I really want to go over. I want to discuss that. I want to talk about this event, and then I'll go over like an overview of what happened, what took place, what did we go through, what did we experience, and then why this is a landmark for heathenry and needs to be the next step forward, because it's incredibly important for us to understand this. All right. So when we first got there, I had my talk was initially, it was like Wednesday through Saturday was the entire event. My talk was supposed to be on Wednesday, but I showed up late. We got stuck in traffic. We were trying to get there, so we didn't get there until late at night. So they moved some stuff around, some of the events. So I'd be speaking the following day. We had some great speakers. Tom Rousel of Survive the Jive did a live stream talk. We had Keith Osgood, who's in the Northern Society, one of our linguist guys, talking about the epic method, which is amazing. You had runologists and other people that were making presentations. People were doing spiritual things. We had people making food. We had people, presenting their wares. They were selling stuff. There was so much that came together, right? So the first night that we came together, it's like, because it's several days, and I think several days is fitting and should be done. But the first night that we came together, it was really just like a social event. Everybody's just kind of getting to know each other. People have flown from all over the place, driven from all over the place. A lot of people from the core group that was there. And everybody, we drank, we sang karaoke, we all got to know each other, we became friends. And they said that was on purpose. Mike Saginario, who was organizing the event, said, that first night is just to break the ice. And when you're up there and you're singing karaoke and you're having fun and all that stuff, you get to know these people, and you start to build these connections, with good, decent people who are there to celebrate their faith, right? So people brought all kinds of different types of meat, and we got to try different types. And there was a lot of, people bought stuff, people made stuff. There was a lot of incredible work that went into just organizing that, And then we got shown different cabins in this beautiful campsite that they rent out. They had a main hall where all the, feasting and the talks would take place. And there was Wi-Fi there, so they could be able to connect things and make internet stuff and blah blah blah. But we had a lot of talks and we had a lot of discussions. I would just like some of these guys, because I'm talking to scholars, people that have been in the Northern Society I've never met in person, and then other academics and stuff like that. And we just would like stay up till like 2 a.m. every night talking about stuff and just going over the faith and the traditions and all this stuff. People who are really passionate about this subject, people who are really, interested in everything that you're putting together. And it's, that was a really big thing for me, because, I don't have a lot of that around me, as far as people who are academics and people who are coming together to put this, sort of puzzle in place. But I'll tell you, all right, so the next day we had, most of it was academic. The Thursday was mostly academic. We did a lot of talks. People described things. There was academic stuff and discussions throughout it. And then, Thursday it was more about like the spirituality, the religion of it. And then, or I'm saying, sorry, I'm going to mess up the schedule. But we had like this concession of different things that happened each day. There was like an overall theme. One day we're like focusing on games and playing and feasting and talking. Next day it's all about academic and learning and educating people. Next day it's about like events. And then we have the bloat day where it's all about spirituality and religion. It was all focused on these different things that happened. And all in the center of that were these statues that Mike had made that are just gorgeous, beautiful depictions of the gods based on archaeological finds and things that, really just, I mean, when you see that golden Thor statue, it's just breathtaking. And it makes you really happy and proud of the people that have come together. We had, there were raffles and there were mead making uh, workshop they had, and all of these different things took place, right? Amazing fun was had by all. We had a great time. We had a lot of talks. Oh, we did jujitsu, which I practiced jujitsu, and we had some rolls and stuff, and that was fun. Kids played tons of games. There were kids running around all over the place, which was amazing to see that many kids. There were like 40 kids, 50 kids just running around going nuts, having the time of their lives. We had like all of these different components came together, right? And this is what we've talked about in the past about building your oval, about being a part of this. And for the longest time, we have seen in heathenry that there's like one person who puts everything together, and then everybody comes to eat the food and drink and contribute nothing, you know. And that day it ends now because we see how a heathen event should occur. And it means that you're going to have a central hub of people that are going to organize things and they're going to make stuff happen and they're going to give people responsibilities and duties. And those people are going to fulfill those duties to the best of their ability. I mean, thing that was amazing to me in this whole thing was there was a group of people cooking food and they just worked and worked and worked. They worked so hard because they wanted this event to go off without a problem, right? And it was beautiful. Every time I saw them, I just appreciated them and wanted to thank them. Thank you for feeding us. Thank you for doing this because I see how hard you're working. And when me and all of the guys from the Northern Society came in, our first inclination, the very first thing, and that's what I appreciated about all of our people is, and it was just me. All of us came in and they were asking, how can I help? What can I do? Let me be here and help you. Let me make this happen. Let me be a part of this. And that's how you do it. You go in there with an idea of service. A lot of people come in there, well, I don't know what to do. It doesn't matter. Just ask to do something. What can I do? What can I be here for? Let me help you. Let me be a part of this for you. I have skills. I have things I can do. I can cook food. I can organize something. I can sell something. I can build something. I can make something. I can be a part of this. And so you just jump in. And I promise you, we will always find something for you to do, And so, like, my thing is that I went to Mike and I tried to help organize the ceremony, and the religious aspect of that, because that's my field of expertise. That's where I jump in and I have all of these different ideas and things that can come together, ways we can bring it about, And so we had the day of the bloat when we started to organize this and piece it all together. One of the things that really excited me is that there was a point in it when we had a theological question that came about. And that theological question was that the statue of Thor had not been sanctified yet. So it was just an object at that time. It would not become a divine relic until it had been blessed properly. And so the question is are we going to use that statue in the procession or wreath and when it's not sanctified? Why would we want to do that? We want to have a sanctified statue. So do we sanctify it first and then perform the ceremony? Or do we move it into the ceremonial area and do something else with the procession, right? And so Mike he really wanted to have the Smirya ceremony take place during the bloat. So we opted to move the statue over there. And he had another statue of Thor, same exact model, but smaller and patina look, not gold. And he said, we'll use that in the procession and then we'll move forward, right? So here it was, you have a theological debate that takes place and then manifests itself within the ceremony. This is incredibly important. A lot of people, they think the theology is so overwhelming. It's such a big thing. There's so much to learn and all that stuff. And a lot of people just aren't interested in it. And that's fine. It's okay to just learn like a basic level of what this is. and learn from the people who are putting the thousands of hours of work into researching and learning and building and all that stuff. But it's the thing is that if you have people there that can contribute this aspect to it, it becomes the nucleus, right? It becomes the center from which everything else emanates. And you see this in actual, like, unbroken traditions in religious festivals, such as Hindu festivals and Shinto festivals. They'll have things where they go ask the theologians, like, what is this? How do we do this? I've been to festivals where they do that, where they have the scholars who are like reading the ancient scrolls and scripts and stuff. And they ask them, like, okay, is this correct? What are we doing here? And then they'll have a discussion about it, and then they'll work it out and they'll make it happen. That's exactly what took place at this, probably for the first time ever. And it's a huge milestone. It's a massive undertaking because you're talking to people who are there to contribute and make this thing happen in a way that creates an air of holiness and education and respect for the gods. And the ceremony was just beautiful. I mean, Mike brings his Viking ship. It's like 8-foot long Viking ship that he builds, and we all put the offerings in it, and then we burn it. And all of that is traditional. We can actually build and show research behind that. There's always room for improvement. There are things that, we saw that it's not part of our research or whatever, and that's fine. We weren't there to dictate or anything like that. I mean, the people were asking me questions, and I was saying, and just enjoy the moment. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have. We're not looking for it to be perfect here. We're just trying to teach people and educate people. And then when we perform the ceremonies, we'll put all this stuff together and all that. But just enjoy the moment. Enjoy where you're at. See what you're witnessing here. It was beautiful. It was just amazing. And I love it when people start seeing signs in the fire and, looking for animals that come around. And because there was a raven that flew over and the fire went into a torrent and it blew out the candle in front of Thor. It was just stuff like that amazes me because people are so into it. They love seeing those signs. And it's exciting because that's exactly what our ancestors did. They would look for signs after bloat, and they would see things that would create great portents that would let them know whether or not the sacrifice had been offered. And I think that everybody pretty much walked away saying, yes, this had been accepted by the gods. And so it was a beautiful experience. It was something, and it's something that we're trying to convey to people, that this is not just something that we're going to do, where you're like sitting around having boring conversations or whatever. This is something that like brings your festivals to life. It makes it become a reality. And the best part about it, the reason why it went off without a hitch, the reason why everything clicked and worked so beautifully is because everybody wanted it to, right? That's the big thing. Every time I went to Mike, I was like, hey, Mike, check this out. We're going to look at this. We can do this and all that stuff. And he'd be like, okay, that sounds good. Let's do it. We can add this too. And we'll make it happen like this. And we would just sit there and talk to one another and work it out. And there was always an idea of acceptance and cooperation and camaraderie, right? Which was huge. There's so many people there. It's just like you try to tell them some of this stuff and they're like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. This is the way we've always done it. We're not doing this. And it's like that you're never going to accomplish anything like that. And that's the rub. That's the wall that you hit with people. And you're just like, fine, then I'm not going to mess with that. I'm not going to be a part of that. And you go off and do your thing. And so it was this cooperation that made everything happen. We had a beautiful procession. Me and Keith were sitting there at the circle where the statue was, where we were going to start the procession. And we said, what if we lined up everybody in 2 lines, right? And then we had the core of the leaders of the procession would walk through that line, those 2 lines, and then each person 2 by 2 would come behind them. And when we did, it just went off perfectly. It was like choreographed. And everything, somebody was banging a drum and people were focused on it. And we walked over to the ceremonial area and, Mike went over towards the altar and I led everybody over to form the circle. And, the fire was lit. It was a need fire. Once we put the ship into the fire, Keith started singing Galder from the work that we've been doing using the notation from the Codex Runicus. It was just beautiful. I mean, it was just amazing. And it's like that becomes the very core of everything, that theology, that let's discuss this, let's work this out, let's build this. And then you just start seeing it emanate and grow and grow and grow. And people work together, and they come up with these amazing things because they're working together, because they're contributing, because they're entering into it with an idea of like, how do I serve this? How do I bring this to the folk? And so it's incredibly important. And it's why this is such a significant event, because for the first time, we really see all of these elements come together with craftsmanship and cooking and talking and education and spirituality and religion and games. And I mean, just all of these elements came together. It's because there was a large group of people, a lot of people able to bring things, but people wanted to. And that's the most important part. All right. So it was a great event. I appreciate everybody that made it come together, everybody that made this a reality. It's amazing for me to be able to do this research and to sort of see it come to life and see it become something, and inspire people. And it's just changes everything. It's so incredible. It's so powerful to see this, our ancestral tradition being reborn and rebuilt from the ground up, because that's what it deserves. Hail the gods.